In order to produce high quality product photos that determine whether your customers purchase from you or not, it's important to prepare ahead of time. In this video, I will discuss how you can organize a professional photo shoot for your products, as well as sharing some tips to make this entire process of organizing a great shoot as smooth as possible. Hi guys, if you're new to my channel, my name is Veronica. I'm a founder of a modest activewear brand, Fit Generation Apparel, a content creator and photographer. I document and share my business journey along with its ups and downs, valuable lessons and practical advice to inspire women like me to pursue their passion, take action and craft the life that they deserve. Product photography is a vital part of marketing process. If your product photos are not good, it will be 10 times harder for you to convert somebody into a paying customer. Don't worry, there is a way to get it right even if you don't have any experience with it. You can do a number of things to make sure the process goes smoothly without any setbacks and you end up with a great portfolio of product photos. In order to avoid any unforeseen problems, it's important to organize and plan out that shoot from A to Z, from the first step all the way to your last. I have recently organized a number of shoots for the launch of my new collection with Fit Generation Apparel, a modest activewear and lifestyle brand that I co-founded with my husband. We're just about to launch the virtual collection, so we had to take some great product photos. And let me assure you, that process went very smoothly, even though we had to work under pretty strict conditions. We had to organize an outdoor studio because at this alert level of lockdown in Auckland, we can't shoot indoors. So it was an eventful shoot, but it went smoothly just because I am very thorough when it comes to the planning process. And I would love to share with you what I do to ensure all of my product photo shoots go really well. So if you're excited to find out more, make sure you like this video and tune in. Step number 1, lock in your vision. Before you get to organizing, finding a photographer, finding your models, booking the studio, finding locations, all of that stuff is not going to serve you well unless you know exactly what you want. Do some research. My favorite place to go for photography research is Pinterest. I can spend hours scrolling and pinning things to my boards and going back to them and making sure I am really narrowing down my vision and know exactly what I want and how I want my products to be captured. Then, once I have my vision down and I know exactly what I want, I go ahead and put together a to-do list for that particular project. I treat every single photo shoot as a separate project, and then I break down everything that needs to be done. Do I need to find models? Do I need to find locations? Do I need to find a photographer? Do I need to book a studio? Do I need to get a backdrop? Do I need to fix my tripod? Things like that. All of them are the things that need to be done prior to the shoot. And putting it all down on paper helps me to know exactly what needs to be done so no stone is left unturned. And I use my whiteboards. I know that I have a photo shoot coming up. I clear some space on my whiteboard. I put in website photo shoot or virtual collection website photo shoot. And then I put in the to-do list. And as I tick the tasks off, I cross them out. And that's how I stay on track and make sure I don't forget anything. Step number 2 would be to put together a mood board. A mood board is basically a collection of images and visual material that helps you communicate your vision to the photographer of your choice. It also helps the photographer to understand what you want and how you want your product to be captured, because no one can read your mind. I have actually recently put together a mood board for the Virtue collection, so I'm gonna share with you that mood board and share with you exactly that I put in it. I started with a collection overview just to make sure the photographer knows the reason behind the product, how the product is meant to make the person wearing it or using it feel, why and how it was created, and what it can be used for. Having that collection overview really helps the photographer to learn more about the intention behind the collection. I've actually put together this mood board before we had any professional shots taken, so I just put the final sample. I also put it together before we had any product, so I put together the final sample. This is not a signed off product. This is something that is a sample that we did before we went into production for the Virtue collection. I put it on, I put my tripod, I put my phone on timer, I striked a few poses, and I made sure I showed the product from different angles to make sure the photographer knows how the product actually looks. Then I went into descriptive part of the mood board. I gave him some keywords to work with. For this collection, we wanted warm colors to work with, golden hour feel, product focused, and every single photo shoot, if you're capturing a product, should be product focused. Minimalist backdrop, natural movement, and with this photography, we are capturing a strong, confident, and happy woman. So all of those keywords really help paint the picture of what I want from my photographer. And then we move on to a series of pictures that I found on Pinterest that I like the look of, that I like the feel of, that made me feel something that I wanted my ideal customer to feel when they saw the pictures of the Virtue collection. And I put those references in, different locations, indoor, outdoor, group photos, just to show to the photographer what I had in mind and how I wanted the Virtue collection to be captured. So make sure you don't skip that step, because if you do, you will end up with a lot of disappointment and a lot of frustration, because like I said, your photographer can't read your mind. And if you don't bring your photographer up to speed, you can't expect them to do exactly what you want if you haven't communicated your vision properly. You can either do it with words, but we're all visual, including image references helps a ton. And it's not even that hard. Go to Canva, go to the presentation mode, create your slides and export it as PDF. It literally took me about 15 minutes to put the mood board together. It's not that hard. Don't skip the step. Which brings me to the next step. Do the research when it comes to hiring your photographer. Photographers usually have their own professional look and feel. A lot of photographers specialize in certain things. There are wedding photographers, there are product photographers, there are fashion photographers, there are photographers that exclusively photograph landscapes. I'm personally a headshot photographer. I don't do weddings. I don't do fashion. Well, I do fashion for my own brand when I have to get resourceful, but I do headshots. This is what I'm good at. This is what I enjoy. Headshots are my niche. I'll stay away from weddings, events, commercial photography, etc. That's why it's important to take your time and do your research and find a photographer who will be a good fit for you and your project. There are many photographers out there, but how do you know which one to choose? So here are a few things to consider when you're trying to find your photographer. You need to find out, how does your photographer handle the business? You want to work with photographers who are onto it, who offer fast turnover, who are very good communicators. If you're having trouble communicating with a photographer, you better look around. What is their social media presence like? If they have a solid website, you need to look at their track record. You need to have a look at their photography to see if their photography style is aligned with what you're looking for in a photographer. Ask for their testimonials if they don't have it displayed on the website, but if the photographer is very proactive, they would have testimonials on the website. Ask around, ask for their previous clients, if maybe you can talk to them. Collect testimonials just to see if that photographer is good to work with. Also, ask for a quote. Then you can figure out if you can afford them or not. And most importantly, make sure that they specialize in the type of photography you're after. Trust me, as a photographer, you can't be good at everything. There is style and technique and years of experience that play out how good of a photographer someone is in that particular area. I know I'm a great headshot photographer. I am fully equipped to do headshot photography. If you throw me in the wedding, I wouldn't be the best because I don't have much experience with weddings and I don't particularly enjoy doing weddings. So if you want a wedding photographer, you choose a wedding photographer. If you want a headshot photographer, you choose a headshot photographer. If you want a product photographer, a still product photographer who styles products in flat lace, for example, you go with them. Or if you like me and you have a clothing brand, then you need a fashion photographer and make sure that person really knows what they're doing. I'm gonna give my photographer a shout out. I've been working with him for years. I've known him for years. I've studied with him actually. He's super talented. Fashion photographer. I'm gonna link his website and Instagram below. If you're based in Auckland, he's a great fashion photographer to work with. So his name is Shelton. His Instagram account is at Shelton Pictures. He's great. So I'm giving him a shout out in this video. Next step, once you have your photographer locked in, and the step only applies if you need models. If you need models to model an accessory, if you need models to model the product, even if it's skincare, if you need models to model the clothing. For me, I create modest activewear, so I need models to model and wear my activewear. Working with professional models will help you achieve the result and the look you want. Trust me, it's important to work with someone who knows what they're doing. Yes, you can always go to your sister or to your friend, but they might be really stiff in front of the camera. They might be very self-conscious. They might not know how to move in front of the camera, and that the whole experience will be a waste of time. I can't stress enough how important it is to get the product photography right, because this is something that's going to go on your website. Your website is the most important thing, and how you put it together determines so many things in the conversion process of your potential customers. So this is something you don't cut corners with. If you need to invest money, good money into good product photography, you do it. But there are a number of ways you can find models. You can do a quick social media search in your area to see if there are any models that you like the look of, and then you can, approach them by DM. You can go to modeling agencies. Auckland has plenty of modeling agencies and they represent a wide variety of models. But the thing is with that, you need to have a budget to work with. If you have a budget, definitely go to a modeling agency. You can put together a brief of the job, what you're planning to use the photos for, and then they will quote you and you can go back and forth and negotiate a fair price. And of course, they will send you a list of models who will definitely available, will be up to the task, will definitely deliver on, what you want. Once again, also do your research, contact multiple agencies, get the quotes from all of them, and of course, go with the right fit for you. Or you could also hire freelance models. There are definitely plenty of professional, really talented models out there who are not signed with an agency and they prefer not to be, just because they prefer handle their modeling as their own business. So they have their own rates, and at this point in my business, I use StarNow, which I think is available in Australia and it's available in the UK as far as I know. But I use StarNow to cast my models for the shoots. I put together a job with everything they need to know. Then I have models apply for that position, and then I shortlist them. We go back and forth until I find the right fit, and we'll lock it in, and here we go. So far, I had the most amazing experience working with models on StarNow. Of course, you have to go into their testimonials. You have to, look how responsive they are, make sure there are no red flags. So far, I had the most amazing experience working with models on StarNow, and I'm gonna continue working with them at this point. And I'm working with freelance models who are not signed with an agency, just because they prefer not to be. They find their own work, and it works for them. So there is no right or wrong. You have to look at your budget. Being a former agent, I understand how important it is that the brands go to modeling agencies, because those models and actors are protected with an agent, make sure they're being charged, they're charging a fair rate, etc., etc. But also being a brand and having a certain budget to work with, I also can't justify putting my entire marketing budget that I have set aside for the collection, just because that's something that my business can afford at this point, on one model. So the thing is, you have to do your best. If you have the budget, go to the agencies. They're going to make your life so easy, and they provide really talented models. But if your budget is a lot tighter, then make sure you can go to places like StarNow. You can find really professional models there who know what they're doing, who are very experienced, and who are just a pleasure to work with. So this is my advice. Okay, now let's move on to locations. Locations can honestly make it or break it for you, so it's important to do your research to get it right. So, do you need a studio? Do you need to hire a studio? So you need to look around for studios. You need to, check their availability, you need to check their rates. You need to kind of see if it works into your budget. For me, with our studio shoots, we got very resourceful. We invested in the backdrop. We invested in the backdrop stands. And we shoot in our living room usually. We clear everything out. We put together a backdrop. We set up the lights. And we have our own portable studio. And investing into all of that equipment actually cost us the same than like half a day of studio hireage. So it was a lot easier for us to purchase all the equipment so that we have it now, and use it for multiple shoots and save money in the long run. But you need to do what works for you. So if you don't have much space to work with, maybe you have to go and hire a studio. You could also maybe still invest in the equipment and hire a hall, for example. If you don't have space in your home, or where you work in your office, if you don't have the space to put together a proper studio, you can always hire a hall, and they're usually a lot cheaper than a photography studio per se. So you can always be very smart with how you choose to schedule your studio shoots. For example, I used to hire out a hall for my photography headshots way back when I used to do it more full-time. So I used to hire out the hall and bring in all of my photography equipment and shoot people there. It was costing me like $10 an hour, But if I were to go with a professional studio, it would probably cost me $100 an hour. And who can afford that when you're only charging a couple of hundred for a headshot session? You know what I mean? But you can definitely think outside the box and get very resourceful. If you're shooting in an outdoor location, for example, go for non-distracting, plain backgrounds, urban setting. But it also depends where your product needs to be set. Like if you are marketing, a perfume, it can be in a home, like against a wall. If you're doing skincare, it could be in a clean sort of bathroom, white bathroom. If you're doing, activewear, in my experience, we just shot at a running track. We shot against a few walls in an urban kind of setting. We also shot at the beach. It was appropriate for us. So you need to realize when you're doing outdoor locations and even indoor locations, you need to place your product in its natural habitat. For example, I wouldn't be shooting, at a restaurant, at a fancy restaurant for, in our new active set. That wouldn't make sense. Yeah, but once again, it, requires some research. Lighting is very important. For example, if you're shooting outdoors, do you want a morning light? Do you want an evening light? Do you want an afternoon light? Do you want the light to be right above your subject's head? A lot of the times you need to go and scout those locations beforehand just to make sure you don't show up there with your photographer, with your models, with all of the equipment and realize that the natural lighting you have there is all wrong. So you have to do some prep. So if you're booking a studio, make sure everything is booked, the date is set, the times are set in stone, your schedule. Same goes for outdoor locations. You have to have that set in stone. Okay, we're getting closer to getting to that photo shoot. But before we get there, you need to make sure you have a shot list. A shot list is literally a list of shots that you need to get on the day. It's very important because you need to make sure you get everything you need when you're shooting. That will also inform you of, how many shots you need to get. That also inform you how much time you need to get them, what props you need, what products you need. All of those things help you organize your shoot better. My photographer loves when I put together a shot list because we can always get very creative, get carried away. And before we say, okay, let's move on to the next outfit, we check if we got every single shot that was on the list. Those shots are must-haves. Everything else we get is a cherry on top. So having a shot list will help you stay on track, will help your photographer make sure he got everything he needed, he or she. Fantastic. Moving on to the next step, prepare your products for the shoot. If you need to clean them, clean them. If you need to iron them, iron them. If you need to polish them, fix them, do whatever you need to do to make sure your products are in tip-top shape comes the shoot day. Here is what I do. I pull out a rack. It's actually one of my old photography stands. I turned it into a clothing rack. I pull it out, I set it up. I put all of my products that need to be shot on the day, and I do it the day before. Then pull out a steamer. We have a steamer. We don't iron our clothes. We steam them. We steam every single piece of clothing that's going to be photographed. I grab little sticky notes. I put the model's name on the rack, and I put the clothes that she's going to wear on the day. So I prepare everything to a T. I know which model is wearing what size, how many outfits, all of that is planned out. And, the next day when it's time to shoot, everything is labeled, everything is steamed, everything is in a pristine condition because your products need to look amazing on the website. And I can't stress enough how important it is because those product photos determine whether the customer buys from you or not. Also, for the virtual collection shoot, we wanted to have consistency and we wanted to have very certain look when it comes to the shoes. So I asked my models what sizes they were, and I went ahead and I purchased the shoes beforehand. And also I purchased the crop tops that I wanted for the photos of the pants without the top. So I was very particular about the look that I wanted. And I went out there and I got it. And, you know, every single model had the shoes to wear, the crop top to wear, and whatever products from the virtual collection. So everything was planned out to a T. So the night before, the day before, you have to send out your confirmation details. It's basically an email you send out to everyone involved in the shoot. You have to make those personalized because every single person will require a different email and different information that they need. But I'll share with you what I include in my emails. I send out emails to models, makeup artists will get an email, a photographer will get an email. You have to be very, very specific and include as much information as possible. Please don't make assumptions when it comes to people, you know, involved in the shoot. Don't think, oh, you know, they'll probably do that. Always say what you want them to do, what you want them to bring, and how you want them to show up on the day. So I always describe the day and the schedule so every single person knows exactly what's going to happen, the time frames, and what is expected of them. We have a call time, we have location, estimate wrap time, so they can anticipate what time they're going to wrap. Sometimes we'll wrap early, sometimes we'll wrap on time, sometimes we go over time a little bit, but it's good to give them an estimate so they can plan their life, of course. Include an hourly rate or a fixed project rate, whatever you agree on. If you are sending notes to your models, hair and makeup, or your makeup artist, for example. If the models are doing their own makeup, send out how you want them to do their makeup and hair. If you are working with a makeup artist, which unfortunately we couldn't at this level because we couldn't have any context, so the models had to do their own makeup. I also included visual references to help them do their makeup exactly how I want them to do their makeup. But if we work with a makeup artist, I usually tell the models not to wear any makeup, just show up as their beautiful natural selves. And I tell the makeup artist how I want the makeup artist to do the makeup on the models. But you have to include all of that in that email. Also include things like payment instructions, how you are going to pay them. Do they need to invoice you? Don't forget to provide a contact number, so if they have any questions, they can contact you. They can always reply to your email, but you could be busy. And if it's something urgent, you need to make sure they have your contact number so they can get in touch with you. So you need to give all of that detail in that email because it's just helps to tick every single box off and make sure everybody is on the same page. And I also have a little disclaimer at the end of each email. Please reply to confirm that you received these details. There's nothing worse than sending out the details, believing that they reached the right person, and they haven't, or they went into junk and the person doesn't turn up on the day. That's a disaster. That just even thinking about it gives me a lot of anxiety. Anyways, make sure you always put a disclaimer on those emails so they can get back to you and confirm that they've in fact received the details and everything is cool with them. All right, we got to the day of the shoot. When you are there on set, you've done a lot of work to get there. But when you're there, it's very important to be present and don't forget to work collaboratively. Collaborative photography is where everyone involved, all of the key players in the photo shoot, it will be you, your photographer, and a model, if you're working with a model. All of them contribute to the success of the photo shoot, and that's my favorite way of working. Working collaboratively creates a natural flow to the shoot. It makes the process so much more enjoyable and fun. Also, you could be locked in your vision, but your photographer is also a very creative person, and they might make a suggestion that will show your product in the best light and capture an amazing shot that you wouldn't have possibly even thought of just because you don't think like a photographer because you're not one. Same goes for the model. They're also very creative, and they could be the way they strike the pose and the way they, smile, the way they move can add a certain dimension and up level that entire shot. So it's important for everyone involved to have an open mind, not be afraid to experiment and have fun with it. Trust me, when you have that mindset, you end up with the best possible result. Let's say you come to the end of the shoot. Before you let anyone go, always check the gate. And what I mean by that, that's a film school term. You have to go back and look at what you've captured. Make sure you ticked everything off. Compare the photos you got to your shortlist. Make sure everything is in the can. And once everything is in the can, yay! You did it. You planned the shoot, you executed the shoot. Now it's time to look at the final results. But before you get there, it's a good idea to ask your photographer to shortlist the photos and send you an edited proof sheet. And it's usually just a PDF with like 20 photos on one page. They're all unedited, but you can see which images but you can see the photos, you can zoom in on them and you can see what your photographer captured. And then you can choose the photos that you actually want edited. A lot of the times you have to pay for the amount of photos you end up with. And in order to save your money and your photographer's time, you can go through the unedited shortlist it further and get your photographer to edit the photos you actually want and will use. And after that step, you get the final images, you get to upload them on the website, you get to feel very pleased with yourself because you just did a huge amount of work and it all worked out. You have the money-making images you wanted to capture, the products are live on the website, the people are excited, your customers are buying, and it's a very, very amazing feeling after every shoot. I love looking at the final photos and just, celebrate that win. Woof, this is going to be a long video. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I tried to include as much information as I possibly can because, trust me, business doesn't have to be stressful. Organizing photo shoots doesn't have to be stressful. If you're thorough and use this video, save it, use it as a checklist, and in the future you can always go back to it and make sure you tick every single task off and you are 100% prepared to show up and get exactly what you want. If you found value in this video, make sure you leave me a thumbs up. Comment below, let me know, share this video so I can reach more women on their entrepreneurial journey and help them out as they go along. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel right here, and if you want to learn more from me, there are a few videos over here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.